Hi, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and it's time to leave no dye behind. Right here I have a skein of Knit Picks Hawthorne fingering weight yarn. This yarn is 80% superwash fine Highland wool, 20% polyamide. And I'm in a dye bath that had a bunch of water and a lot of tablespoons of white vinegar. And there is a hint of some red in the water, but I'm not worried about that because we've got a lot of red we're gonna be adding here today. Because again, we've got leftover dyes. Now, the dye bath is slightly warmer than room temperature, but I would classify that as therefore being about lukewarm. And so it is cool enough that I can take one of these plastic cups in to remove this excess dye. So the first color we are using is some Dharma Acid Dye's Teal Green. All of the colors that I mixed up, I originally had less than a gram of dye, and they've been used in multiple different projects so far. So there should not be that much pigment left. And now we're going to take our Hawthorne and add it in and sort of move it around to get this color all over the yarn. Now, if you would like to learn more about any of the tools and equipment that I'm using in this video or in any of my other videos, I do have links and affiliate links in the video description, and I may earn a commission if you make a purchase after clicking on one of the affiliate links. But I do try to link to the tools and the yarn and everything so that way you can try to replicate my results at home. But let's see. So some of this color is definitely striking to the yarn right away before, yeah, we've even like turned on the heat or anything. And so what I'm going to do now is move the zip tie down the yarn a little bit, squeeze out the water. And you can see we have this lovely sort of pale teal that is a little bit tonal. And we're going to bring in our next color, which is some Midnight Blue. This is a almost indigo leaning color, a little bit of a purpley hue, especially compared to other blues, but I would still classify it mostly as a blue. And again, this looks like a ton of pigment, but there probably isn't more than like a quarter of a gram total of any of these colors because I added water to the cups after I'd originally dissolved the dyes. But I'm doing this layering. Ooh, this is so pretty. I'm doing this layering in order of colors that I think will strike faster to colors I think that will strike slower. Sometimes you might notice I do these kinds of layering color videos with combinations of like the lightest or brightest color to the deepest one. And I would say that this Midnight Blue is probably our deepest color of the three colors that we have. But I am doing it now because I think that it will mostly, and you'll see, strike to our yarn before we go and get our final color. And our final color, oh man, I'm having regrets. Okay, I need to remember that this combination of Midnight Blue and Teal is absolutely stunning. And Rebecca, editing Rebecca, make a note that I should do dip dyeing with these two colors because this is so beautiful. But you can see that just having acid and water with mostly cool water, we have absorbed almost all of this color onto our yarn. And it hasn't happened in an even way. It's happened in ways that some areas look a little bit more blue, some a little bit more green. But now we're bringing over our final color, and I'm gonna hold my breath a little bit with this one. We have some Cherry Bomb, and we don't have a lot of this color. And so this may not be enough to take us into a brown, but what I will say is that this color combined with the teal gave a stunning cool toned brown in the past. Now you might notice a lot of little floaters in there. That is something that happens with Cherry Bomb. Maybe I should have filtered it. But this is something that happens with this color, and you know, we might end up getting some specks or splotches on here. I don't know. So I think what I want to do is add some more water. Here's another 7 cups of water or so. And the goal of this is to make it a little bit easier for me to add the color onto our yarn. And I did just move the zip tie down. And so I have no idea what this is going to do to our color, although I'll probably shift it more into a purple sort of realm. Now I'm treating this the same as I was before. And yep, we might see some little spots from how those little more globby bits when they bind onto the yarn. But with it cold, I'm just going to be moving it and removing the yarn and moving it through. Doing a lot of movement is going to help us get a more even layer of color on here. And this is actually really, really lovely. So when it's in the water, some areas look super, super purple, but it almost feels gray. Did I make a gray? Too bad I don't know the ratios. Oh man. When I watch people mix a gray and they start with like primary colors and they use like, or they add more blue and more this, I'm amazed. Now, I don't know if it's going to end up feeling gray in the end, especially when dry, but there are elements of this that definitely feel so neutral. Now, I loved the color that we had before, but this is very exciting. You know what this is combination is reminding me of? It's reminding me of Twilight Gray a little bit because there are some purple notes and greenish notes in that color as well. Now, we still have a fair amount of color left here in the pan, but a lot of color is in the yarn and we have a lot of liquid in here. So I'm going to spread out our yarn as much as possible and we're going to start heating things up. The steam pan is across 2 burners on my stove and I'm going to start heating it on high just until we get nice and warmed up, and then at that point we will reduce the heat to low. And I have a feeling the color is feeling less gray and more purple, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. This is all super, super lovely. When you're mixing colors, even if they're at different ends of the color wheel, it's ultimately all about proportion that gives you the color you see in the end. And we can mix these same colors together another day and get a completely different kind of color. But anyway, I am going to let this heat for 30 minutes and I'll keep an eye on it. Once it looks nice and hot, then I will reduce the heat to low. And so I'll be back in 30 minutes. The 30 minutes are up and our yarn is a glorious purple. Oh man, I'm turning off the heat. Those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, it's a gray. Well, if I'd removed it then maybe, but there's no question that we've got a lovely purple. I'm curious how solid or how much we'll see, you know, right here. I don't think it'll show up on camera. I see some warmer and cooler tones from the colors we had on before. This is a stunning color. But anyway, I'm gonna go let this cool off completely. I think the color's a little bit warmer toned than it's showing up on camera right now. But I'm gonna go let the yarn finish cooling off and then we'll wash it. Let's wash our yarn, which is a very beautiful purple. I wish I had a recipe because this is like a beautiful deep violet color. It's not too bright, but it's also not too like saturated. I love it. And I don't have a recipe, but we don't have any color bleeding, which is awesome. And I'd already added a little dish soap, I think. At least it looks like I did from the suds on the side. But I'm going to finish just rinsing this out. Then I'm going to put it through my spin dryer and hang it up to dry so we can see the finished skein. Remember when I thought that this yarn was going to be gray? It is most definitely not gray. We are firm into a beautiful bluish purple territory. It's fairly subtle, but we do have some pinker areas and some bluer areas in our yarn. It's hard to predict exactly what kind of color you will get when you're mixing leftovers or really just random colors together, unless you've mixed them before. And even then, if you were to take a color recipe that has 3 different dyes in it and layer the colors on one at a time, you might get something that feels related to the same color you would get if you mixed everything together to start, but it might not be exactly the same color. And there is a ChemKnits Hanukkah special video where I show layering colors that I did based on a recipe from a triad color mixing exercise, just to show some of the differences you can get, especially when pots are crowded. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. When it comes to color mixing, you are not limited to using primaries. You can use other pre-mixed colors and mix those together further to create your own custom colorways or just colors that are unique from what everyone else can easily get. Of course, I enjoy just combining things together and seeing where we end up. And it's a shame I don't have proportions of the colors because I love this purple. Please subscribe and do all the YouTubey things so you never miss a new video. I always post at least twice a week and you don't want to miss any of it. And subscribing, watching, giving the videos a thumbs up, these are the biggest things you can do to help support the content here on the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel. Of course, if you want other ways to support the content, I do have a Patreon. I have an Etsy shop, ChemKnits Creations. You can find links to everything down in the video description. Thank you so much for watching.